check 1 2. And there we go. Nice to see everybody. Good to be back.
My issue with this intro is there is no real discernible beat to it. Right? Like, that's part of the problem I have. That's why I keep asking you if we can replace it. It's because I don't know what I was doing.
What do you mean? I don't understand. What do you mean there's no discernible beat? There's a tune. You can carry a tune like this.
It's way off. It's
what's wrong with it?
One. It's not.
What's wrong with that?
I'm on another sequence. Like, I'm jumping around on time sequences.
No one knows. Nobody knows that stuff.
Anybody who's a musician who hears that goes.
Yeah, how many musicians are listening to this stupid podcast? None. Not one musician is going, I'm going to go listen to Dean and Lachlan today, not talk about music for the entire day. Not one. So it's like, no one cares. No one knows. No one cares. It's an awesome intro.
By the way, if I run away at any point, it's because of my morning.
What do you mean?
You met Mel. Dark Side of the Grill. Instagram does the barbecue tips for the locker room.
You did the Hot Ones challenge on the radio today with hot sauce, didn't you?
And I just heard from Grant. He was at a midwife because he's pregnant. Him and his wife are having a kid, and they're doing the midwife thing. So he's at the midwife appointment, and he texted me. He goes, "She's so mad at me because like we're getting down to crunch time here, and I have been on the shitter since we got here. I can't leave."
I saw the commercial that you did with Mel, like Mel Schmiller from Dark Side of the Grill. And he's like squirting hot sauce, and he's like, "Hey, I'm going to do the Hot Ones challenge with Lachlan on the radio tomorrow." And he brought the real hot sauce. And that explains why, you were late for the podcast. Usually it's because you're pleasuring yourself. You like to have a post-nap wank. But this is because of some hot sauce in your bun
when I go down for a nap. But
I know you do.
That was
God's sleeping pill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I may have to run because as soon as he said that, I could feel the bubbling. I was like,
Go ahead. Well, you might not want to miss this because
I don't want to miss this. I'm excited. That's why I don't want anybody to think I'm being rude if I like.
No,
I have one of those looks and I run off.
No, our next guest has been through much worse over the past 500 and some odd days than listening to you talk about the Hot Ones challenge and your exploding asshole. By the way, he's prepped for this. He's ready. Please welcome, fighting out of Irpin, Ukraine, beautiful suburb of Kyiv, 6'4", 250, solid rock. Please welcome back to the show a man who took a break, an ill-advised break from Twitter for 2 weeks. Please welcome back to the show, Mr. Alex de Rebecca, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello.
It's good to see you, Alex.
Hey, bud.
From now on, Alex, when you take any time off from social media, please let us know, okay? Just give us a quick little dingle. Maybe even put something up on Twitter that says, "Hey,
gone fishing.
Gonna be away for a week or two.
Taking a minute.
Don't panic, my Canadian friends, because about 30 people twice a day were reaching out to me going, so Alex, we haven't heard from him. What's wrong? He hasn't posted in a day, 2 days, 3 days.
Listen, Alex, I'm going to give this to you straight, okay? Before we start the podcast, I'll give it to you straight. When you love someone who lives in a war zone like we love you, you just can't disappear for 17 days.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? You just got to tell us because we love you and we miss you, but you needed a break, didn't you?
We don't want to be selfish.
Yeah.
But we know there's bombs flying over your head, but please think of us. Please think about us, okay?
Listen,
be sensitive.
What about us?
Be sensitive to our needs.
Yeah, we love you.
I've been too egoistic. I know.
Selfish son of a bitch.
Yeah, can't believe it. This podcast is over. How are you, buddy? You took a little bit of a break right on the 20th of July. What was much needed, like kind of decamp? You just had no more news. What's the deal?
Yeah, it was really horrible after 480 days. Yeah, we just decided to take this break, and I should have posted something like break every day, but I didn't. We just went away to a hideaway place at the lake, close to the Polish border. with birds flying and with the frogs quacking and no cars, no nothing, just us and and the nature.
Good for you.
How long did you get away for? How long were you able to take off?
It was actually like 10 days. And then we went on our way to several cities that we never visited in our entire life in Ukraine. We found very good. By the way, those cities, those exact cities were followed later in a week after that by the president. So kind of prepared the place for Zelensky to visit.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So he kind of did your vacation route.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he was also in the hideaway place close to our place somewhere.
Yeah.
And
very interesting.
Us. Yeah.
It's weird because you stepped. It's funny because I started getting like, it was the 22nd or the 23rd of June. I was going back just prepping for our podcast. So I'm like, when did people start asking me where you were? And it was literally 2 days after you decided to just kind of log off and go get away with your lovely wife and Artie, by the way, who's growing so much. Beautiful little Artie, Artur. And then Alex. So this jack off next to me, Ed Lachlan, he starts going, we need to get hold of Alex. And I'm like, maybe he's just on vacation. And he's like, no, this is not. So he starts jacking me up. So I start getting excited. And then all of a sudden, all these other people are like, have you heard from Alex?
Yeah.
He's posted in a few days. And and inside, I'm like this. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I sent you a note, and we'll get to it in just a second. And you didn't respond to it. And I'm like, okay. So I'm just not going to freak out. I'm going to wait because Alex always gets back to me. And you did. And you're like, sorry.
I did the more mature thing, friends. Alex, and I freaked out.
You did the right way.
I did it the right way. I did it what everybody expected me to do. And I'm like, oh my God, Dean, you're the one who has his cell phone number. You call him. This is on you.
Well, in fact, I deleted Twitter, I deleted Facebook, I deleted Telegram. I was so much tired of all the news, of all the communication. And basically the day when we moved out of Kyiv, that's when Progohzin started his his whatever
Moscow thing.
Yeah,
his run towards Moscow.
So next time to take over Russia.
Yeah. Next time a coup needs to be to happen, I have to go on vacation.
Yeah.
That's when coup happens.
That's why Zelensky was following you. He's like, I'm just going to follow this guy around every time he does something good happens. Let's talk about that, right?
Can I ask a quick question about the attempted coup? Now, the thing that I find interesting is that Zelensky is very composed when you see him speak of things that are really good news, right? Like any kind of news, good or bad, he has this very kind of, he might take a moment to sit and soak it in, and he'll cock his head kind of sideways and take a minute to think about it and then come back at you, right? It also might just be the translators. I'm like,
or the camera angles.
Or the camera angles. But he always seems rather composed when you really want him to go. I'm thinking there's a little of that kind of celebration behind the scenes.
Like he's fist pumping in his brain.
When Putin's top military commander decides to turn heel and head back home to take over the country, you got to think that Zelensky and the boys are doing a little of this and high-fiving in the back rooms, no? Like, do you hope that that's happening?
Yeah, I guess so. There was a party, probably. The party.
Take me through that, because you're on vacation, right? It's like 10 days ago, 11, 12 days ago now. You're on vacation, and all of a sudden, like, I turned on the TV, and it's like, oh, the Wagner group's turning around, and they're going to march on Moscow and kill everybody, and they were shooting down their own fucking planes, and Progohzin's going from city to city. He's like, yeah, we're going to go to Moscow. We're going to fuck everything up. This is him walking around going, and if you know, 35, this is the whole thing. Kremlin admitted today that Putin met with Progohzin, 35 of his top Wagner leaders in Moscow on 29th of June. Peskov said it was a 3-hour meeting. Putin offered Wagner forces further options of employment, but basically he's kind of neutered everybody. But take me through, like, your experience in Ukraine when you hear the army turns around and they're like, fuck it, we're attacking Moscow now. Like, how does that feel? What was going through your head? Take me through how you learned about that. Because look at the smile on your face. You're like,
Yeah.
And by the way, this is Progohzin now, who's dressed like an extra in a Borat movie. He's like hiding out all over the place.
Yeah, he looks like the guy that 69 Borat.
Yeah. It's the best.
Oh, wow.
So take me through that. Like, what happened? Take me through what you knew and when you knew it.
I'll take you through my own experiences. It happened on Friday night. We left on Friday morning, so it happened on Friday night, and it was going on throughout Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't known about it until Sunday, when I called my friend, and I'm calling him. I'm like, Dima, I need your advice. And he's apparently standing at a cashier at a supermarket store, and he's like, sorry, man, I'm a bit busy now. Let me call you back in a minute. I'm like, okay. So he calls me back in a minute, and he's like, and I'm like, you were in the store. What were you buying? He's like, I'm buying a bunch of beer. I'm like, oh, really? Why? He's like, I'm gonna continue watching the series. I'm like, wow, should be a very interesting series to watch. And I'm like, what kind of series? And he's like, didn't you hear about it? It's Progohzin and a group. I'm like, what? Is there a series of this kind? Because I hadn't known about it. He's like, don't you know the news? That's how I learned.
So you stop watching the news
and
for
I'm like
5 minutes.
I'm like, I didn't want to hear any news. I'm like, okay, tell me about it. So he spoiled to me all the story.
What did he tell you?
Yeah, well, he was basically really buying beer and popcorn to watch the continuation. Yeah, everybody was like. Then I called other friends, and they also spoiled me a part of it. So this is how. But by the way, that's an interesting experience in the modern world, when you have access to everything from your smartphone.
Yeah,
I didn't have an access to that, but I got access from typical people, like in old good days, you know.
Where you spoke to someone, you mean? Where you talked to someone physically, like, hey, did you hear what happened? And he turns around, he's like, no, I didn't. And you're like, oh, well, here's what happened.
Hey, Jerry, I'm on the phone with Alex.
You know what he says? He said Progohzin's going to stick a bomb up Putin's ass, and he's on his way to Moscow. You're kidding. Hang on. Let me call Sergey. Sergey, did you hear this? Fucking right, dude.
You know what I found funny, Alex, and I don't know if you'll find any humor in this, but you've made some wrong choices in life when you're exiled in Belarus. Like, if that's your last choice, that was my thought when I was thinking about this.
Yeah. Okay, so you start
the only place in the world you can go is Belarus. You know you're effed. Hey?
Yeah. Or North Korea, one of the two.
Yeah.
So you start filling in the blanks, and on that Sunday, right? Sunday night, you start filling in the blanks. How do you feel? Like, what did you go down the rabbit hole, and what did you think?
Yeah, well, of course, I had consciously decided I would not read the news. So I was like, okay, I'll wait for a week and then come back, and then that would be already a history that I will read as a history book. So actually, when I returned, I looked through all the posts, all the information I could, from a perspective of a week of history.
Yeah,
and that made a lot of sense. By the way, I was like, really like watching a series that how it ends.
How do you feel about the fact that he turned around, and what do you think happened? Do you think he lost his nut a little bit, his nerve? Or do you think
why didn't he make it to Moscow? You mean?
Yeah. Why did he stop?
Yeah.
What's your perspective on that? Because everyone's still kind of speculating that he got paid off or whatever, right? He made some kind of a deal, but like, what is that? What's that deal?
And did it come with this sweet wig and hat combo?
That's a good question, but I don't know if you heard. As of today, the news is that they actually met with Putin 5 days later.
Yeah, on the 29th.
So they actually had it, and that was the news as of today. So 2 weeks passed, and now they revealed the secret. So they actually had a meeting. But this is one thing, and another thing is that the German intelligence actually eavesdropped, overheard the talk between Prigozhin and Lukashenko.
What did they say?
Oh, hang on.
I want to know what they said. Yeah. What did they say? What was the conversation?
With who?
The German intelligence overheard they were eavesdropping the I don't know what is the
phone call,
intercepting the phone call between Prigozhin and Lukashenko, and we know that on Saturday Lukashenko and Prigozhin had a conversation that lasted for several hours. Good that the German intelligence.
He's high up in Putin's military ranks.
He's the head of Belarus, right? Like Lukashenko's the head of Belarus,
the president of Belarus.
Okay. All right.
So throughout the day on Saturday, they had lots of conversations with Lukashenko, and they probably agreed on some conditions that we don't know. But the good thing is that the German intelligence knows. And once the German intelligence knows, probably Ukrainian intelligence knows as well. Yeah. So we probably know all the conditions that were put in place.
Do you think he's safe there? Like,
look at that face.
Progohzin?
Yeah, that's the most interesting thing. That now I'm assuming that everybody in what was the main what was the coup all about? Prigozhin wanted to dismiss the Minister of Defense, Shoigu.
Yes.
Shoigu is still in place. So now Shoigu is thinking like, what is happening? Prigozhin is alive. What can happen to me? Prigozhin is thinking, what is happening? Shoigu is still in place. What is happening to me? They can kill me or Shoigu, or so it's like Putin is thinking, Prigozhin is still in place. He's still alive. How can I kill him? Of course I can, but what will happen? So everybody's like in the same kind of that's like a real mafia thing.
Yeah, that's like purgatory, right? If I keep this guy alive, I can get him to do my thing. Might want to kill that guy. But it was bizarre because like I turned on the TV and it's like, oh, Russia's attacking Russia. Tired of attacking Ukraine. They're like, fuck, let's go attack Russia. And I'm like, this is the weirdest thing in the world. And you just had this idea. Like I had this concept in my head because Progohzin was like, we're not going to stop until we take Russia, like Moscow. We're not stopping until you give me Shoigu and this other guy. I don't know who the other guy was. And it was resolute, like walking through towns, high fives with people, and dude, the Wagner group is not a good group of people. Like we understand what the Wagner group is just a bunch of lawless killers that are off the Russian military books so they can do whatever they want, known as little green men, right? So like you saw the shit in Putin's pants. Like the shit in his pants when you saw some of the videos of the Iron Ring, that little road that goes all the way around Moscow. They had literally blocked it off so that nobody could get through. Nobody. Dump trucks jammed with sand. Like he was shitting his pants. What are mill bloggers saying now about the relationship and what the Russian machine is all about when it turns on itself mid-war? There's a question for you.
They're hysteric and they're in panic and they're like that's really interesting to watch. There's what is happening now is a lot more important than what happened back on June 24th, because there's like a conflict. They're like they don't understand who to believe. In fact, do you know that 19 regions out of Russian Federation supported Prigozhin, 21 regions supported Putin, and the rest of the regions were hesitating.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like it was like 50-50. Yeah, and same with the mill bloggers. They're like some of them are on the side with Prigozhin. Some of them are on the side with the president. So it's like a split.
Yeah,
that's what I.
And
see.
how is that kind of playing out? Like, do you talk? I know you don't talk to anybody there anymore, obviously, because the last 500 days and the people that are there are brainwashed and all that other shit. But do you take anything away from the fracturing that's happened since then? Because like I know the event on the 24th was was a big deal, but as you point out, there's an ongoing negative effect in that country, or positive effect if you're Ukraine, that there's real fucking problems between one side and the other side, and it's districts. It's like geopolitical, but now it's like personal for a lot of those people. So are you hearing anything coming out of Russia in regards to how that works, or is it still like, we don't talk about that shit, no one knows anything?
Oh no, they talk, and that which is good. They talk, and one of the mill bloggers said an interesting thought that well, nobody knows what will continue in the future, but at this point, everybody saw that the weakness of the Russian power. So the president is weak. Yeah. Most of the army, like 90% of the army, is in Ukraine. So there was nobody to stop Prigozhin, and anybody can start the same kind of coup, like all the oligarchs can start this. The typical population is, as you rightly mentioned, is brainwashed. They are like slaves. They are, like sheep. They will not do anything. They will not protest. We discussed it many times during your show. But the elites, those oligarchs, those tycoons in the powers, they are now like thinking, this. If Prigozhin can do it, I can probably do it, or somebody can do it. So it's like it's starting to shake, and we've seen this like so evidently and obviously.
I wonder if Putin has had any conversation. Like, we have conversations in Canada. Again, I hate to shine a light on the difference of the worlds that we live in, but quite often I'll overhear like a younger guy talk to another person like, hey, listen, I just went out with Cheryl last night. Now, how many days should I wait until I call her or send her a note? Like, is it 3 days? Is it 4 days? Putin's having the same conversation. So the coup is on the 24th. How many days before I can kill Progohzin? Like, is there like a set time, Vladdy? Like, should I wait 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
So it doesn't look like us.
Accepted amount of time.
Like, how long before we can push him out of a window? Is it a month? Is it 2 months?
How long before the Russian public is okay with this? Okay, let me know.
Yeah, but that's kind of the deal, right? Like, as you point out, it is the mafia. Like, that is how that country is run, from top to bottom. So let me ask you this then. How are things where you live? Because you put up a post not long ago of you and beautiful Artie, and the air raid sirens are going off every day. Like, it was nonstop, the projectiles and the missiles flying overhead. What are things like just from like the atmosphere of where you live now? And is it still something that you see on a somewhat weekly basis or daily basis, being where you are so close to Kyiv?
Basically since this year started, since January 1st, the hardest month was May. Almost every other day we had air raid sirens. That was crazy. I mean, we would prepare to go to bed, and that was just like really basically every day, like 11 p.m. air raid sirens start. And at one point, can you hear it?
Yeah.
It's
coming in now.
Yeah, right now. There it is.
That's insane.
Yeah. So, like, and my windows actually face Kyiv, so you could see the out of my windows the Kyiv, and when there's air defense working and shooting the missiles, I can see it from my window.
You can see the missiles go up, the air defense go up.
Yeah.
So it's not far from you.
A lot of the warfare right now is the drones, right? Because I mean, what Ukraine has done a really good job of is combating the missiles that are coming in with drones, and however they do that. So I've heard that is fairly spectacular. Like, just reading a couple of things, if you do get a chance to see the bombs blowing up in the sky or whatever, if something does get hit, before it lands, right?
Yeah, actually, Kiev,
a lot of that stuff, Alex.
Yeah. Kiev and Kiev region are very well covered by air defense now, including the Patriot. We only have a couple of them for the entire country. Just to compare, for the NATO summit that will happen tomorrow, there's 11 Patriots brought to Lithuania, and we have 2 for the entire country. But you're right, most of the drones are being shot in Kiev, not in other cities, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, I have a question about munitions that are on their way from the U.S. to Ukraine. Dean,
let me just I wanted to limp in here and just to kind of cover that off. Everybody heard the air raid sirens in the middle of us doing the podcast, and Alex showed us outside pointing to Kyiv. You can see all the air defenses go up. I want you to see the strength of this gentleman and as his child. He put this up prior to going on a beautiful vacation with his wife. I want you to have a look at this. This is beautiful. One of the great pictures I've ever seen. Dave 476 air raid sirens again and again. We don't care. We are watching the sunset. That absolutely is one of the great pictures of all time. To your point, everyone's outside. You hear that noise. You see the missiles go off. Nope. Alex has been through this for well over 500 days. That is his beautiful son, who he had about a month before the war started. And there he is saying, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to enjoy the sunset with my son. Just beautiful. Anyway, I don't mean to interrupt, but Locke wants to get to a question.
Is it about a year and a half now? A tour? Yeah. Is it about a year and a half?
1 and 5 months.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
Just the king.
Good looking boy. Good looking boy. So, it's funny because I was watching the news. And I'll give you sort of a bird's eye sort of idea into the coverage of the cluster bombs on their way to Ukraine from the U.S. in North America. So for those listening who don't know, cluster bombs, I think again, I might have put this together the wrong way, but it was.
Well, you did have a bad bout with the hot sauce this morning, and you do drink a lot, so we'll give you a little ease off that. We'll just kind of.
But you guys may know this. They were invented by the Germans, right, in World War II, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, so the cluster bomb it's a bomb that goes over an area, and just before it hits, makes contact. The bottom of it opens up, and then it sprays a bunch of little bombs. So it's very indiscriminate. And I guess over 100 countries around the world have declared it something that they don't want anybody to use. Like they signed some bill or something, some United Nations thing that say don't use these. They're not. And the reason why is one because of the indiscriminate nature of the bomb itself, and then 2, also I guess there's a percentage of the bombs within the bomb that don't go off. So after a war, there's always a chance, and this happened in the UK, I guess, is civilians can be hurt quite badly if these things go off after the fact, and they do. So, of course, Russia has them, and they're using them against Ukraine. And we're at a point now where Ukraine is this spring offensive has been so involved and so much thrown at it from Western countries that we're having trouble keeping up with the war from a munitions perspective. So they went to the US and said, hey, listen, and Biden approved it on the weekend, said, yes, okay, send what we have. They did not sign that bill that said that they won't use cluster bombs or that they're against it. So they're saying, we'll give what we have. We're kind of running out of shit to throw at them. So they're on their way. And so it's this kind of discussion in North America right now where, Canada says they're bad. Maybe we shouldn't send them. And then there also this conversation
with all this civilian war knowledge. Yeah.
And then military people go in and go, I don't know. Here's the way I look at it. If I'm fighting a war and somebody else on the other side's using them, I'd be like,
guess got to use them.
Maybe I'll use them. Right? War is, I hate it when you're having a conversation about sort of the good and bad or the moralistic value of a weapon. I guess you kind of have to, but so it's a struggle in Western society right now with this, and it's going to be divisive. But it's an interesting move for Biden to send them your way to Ukraine. And I doubt highly Zelensky's going to go, no, we won't take them. They're bad. But are you guys hearing any coverage about the cluster bombs and the fact that they're on their way from the U.S. in Ukraine?
Yeah, absolutely. We've been requesting it for quite some time already. And finally we get them. And of course, that's a difficult decision. Of course, there may be some consequences.
Yeah.
But our Minister of Defense just outlined that we guarantee it will be used in very specific cases. We will fix those cases to make sure we know the area where those unexploded bombs are concentrated, so that we can, in the future, demine them. And we will use it only in the specific locations of the concentration of the enemy. So
where the difference is, I think that, and this is why, the UN was like, hey, we need to take those out of commission, is because of people like Putin who have been doing this the entire war in and around hospitals and community centers and daycares with phosphorus cluster bombs, with real cluster bombs. Like, you're talking about two different intentions here, right? So when everybody gets all up in arms and has an ethical dilemma in the Western world about a war that is happening on the other side of the planet, where people are literally being exterminated, torture, all that kind of stuff, and they have really no ability to defend themselves outside of what they already have, and someone says, hey, listen, we need that stuff because they're doing it to us, and we're going to make sure that we're not doing this in towns and cities where people are. I think it's an easy game. And the other thing is that it's really easy for us to sit here, Alex, and I'm sure you deal with this a lot being in Ukraine, where you're buffing or rebuffing people's intentions or assertions about what's happening in Ukraine, right? Like, it must, to some extent, and I love Lachlan's question because it's all the rage over here. It's what people do where they're like, hey, listen, you shouldn't do that. I'm like, well, guess what the fuck is going on over there? And yes, you should. Is that annoying to you as someone that lives in Ukraine and someone who's helping with the effort? Are all the outside opinions on the ethical dilemma of Ukrainians during this actual war? Yeah.
We're gonna get into the ethical discussion about war. It just drives me crazy. The fact that we're even having a conversation about the fact that you guys are being
it's outsiders
attacked.
that are having it, right? Like, it's outsiders.
Crazy.
And that's the question I would have for you. Do you get annoyed by it? Like, do the people of Ukraine go, you guys fucking don't know the first thing about what's going on here?
Yeah, I'll react with a story that I just talked to a friend of mine who is in the police in one of the cities in Ukraine, and as a policeman, he has an access to the record. So he says that before May this year, we had in that city we had a couple funerals per month of the guys from the city who were killed in the war. On the front line. Since May started, and just to remind those who don't know, the
months of the year,
the major counteroffensive started end of May, beginning of June. Basically, beginning of June. That's when the major counteroffensive started. But basically, starting from May, there's a funeral basically every day. 1-2 guys from the war. So the more weapons we have, including the cluster munition, the less guys in Ukraine will die in the front line. We are pushing them out, but lots of our soldiers are killed every day.
How is the counteroffensive going? We don't get much news in the counteroffensive here. I know that a significant amount of ground has been taken back. What do you know about the counteroffensive and how things are going?
Well, now that you asked, I probably thought of one of the reasons why I was so exhausted by the time we went to the vacation. We lived in the expectations of the counteroffensive. We all lived because the counteroffensive was promised in spring. It started basically in summer, and I was like, every day it was like, okay, the counteroffensive should start, and you think in this mode all spring. And then it finally started. And then every day you expect something that happened in September last year when Kharkiv Oblast was actually liberated in basically 5 days, 5 or 6 days, 6 days. And then in October, when Kherson was liberated in like 2 or 3 days, and I would expect something like this, and nothing of the kind happened. It was very slow. We would like fight for every 100 of meters of our land, and
that is the news we're getting, is that it is the war is at a point right now where Russia has been pushed back, and but they're very entrenched in the areas that they have taken, and this is pre-invasion into Ukraine, and Zelensky's now going, this isn't going to be over until I get everything back, which makes the conversation a little bit more interesting, because what that does is it opens up the front lines by thousands of kilometers, right? So now, instead of having these little wars about stopping Russia from invading into, now what's happened, from what I've been reading and keeping an eye on from this end, is that Russia kind of got pushed back enough to go, okay, well, now we just got to keep what we had when we first started 13 years ago or whatever it was. And that's the issue now, is that Ukraine's like, yeah, no, you pissed off the wrong people. Now we're taking it all back. And so now the real battle has started, and that's this counteroffensive. The spring offensive was what they were calling it in the news here in the West, and it has been very difficult and I guess the bigger issue too is that the way you guys are fighting, with the limitations from the equipment that's been provided to you, this is just based, again, I'm piecing this together based on the news that I'm watching, is that you only have a certain number of, like, you're only able to fight so far in, right? And that's what Zelensky keeps saying about the munitions and about the equipment that they want. We want to be able to push further than where we are, and fire further into those lines to get them to pull out and move back. So I'm thinking that and again, this is the optimist in me, but I have a feeling that Ukraine is going to start to see more support with respect to the fact that this cluster bomb conversation is happening right now. Because I think they did this on purpose. And this is just, I'm pulling this right out of my ass, complete and 100 speculation, Alex, which is how I live my life. But Alex, I think that the United States did one of these, look over here, and then they're going to give you some real shit. That's what I think is happening. Well, we're all sitting over here having this cluster bomb conversation, and
in come the nukes
they're sending. Yeah, and then I think you guys are going to get some really hardcore hardware while we're all distracted. The press
like cluster bombs, maybe.
Yeah, that's my theory.
Yeah, aircraft. We need aircraft.
You need aircraft. Is that something that you guys are still talking about? Because I do want to get back to the conversation we were having about where the Ukrainian army is. So let's finish that, and then we'll get back to aircraft, because I've heard stories about aircraft being involved in the next thing. So where is the Ukrainian army now in the counteroffensive, specifically where you're encouraged or discouraged by it?
Yeah, well, in the south, throughout the month, June, since the counteroffensive started, so for the past month, the entire area with the size of Odessa has been liberated throughout this month, which is quite good. It is more than the Russian army took throughout entire winter. It is more land than they took throughout the entire winter. So it is ongoing, and we are pushing them. There's some strategic directions, and I understand there's like a very good strategic logic in that, and lots of good advisory and consulting and from the West that help to draft this strategy. So we are pushing in the specific direction which is the weakest in the line of those defenses, which actually leads us to split them into two parts, and we will get to Azov Sea and cut off the road from the mainland of Russia towards Crimea, and that's when the bridge, the Crimean bridge, will be hit again. Yeah. And by the way, today, did you hear that today's news that there was a rocket downed by the Crimea bridge again today? So we are there. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, and it's interesting because the failures. I'm looking at a map right now. The military operation today in Crimea, or not in Crimea, Zaporizhia, those areas, Kramatorsk, all those areas that are currently being liberated. But one of the things that I heard yesterday, you want to talk about failure, and I'd like to get your thoughts on it real quick, because failure in Russia means success in Ukraine. And I want to bring this up because it made me laugh, and people are going to think I'm mean for it. But you sent this to me and you're like, isn't this a great news? This tweet, and this tweet is: Russian Captain Stanislav Ritsky shot dead in Russia's Krasnodar. Russian agency said he was the commander of Krasnodar submarine from which Russians launched caliber cruise missiles against Ukrainian cities. Why is that important to you? Because you had a big smile on your face when you sent that. Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah, when I showed it to my wife, she clapped her hands. Why? Exactly a year ago, on July 14th, this stupid asshole commanded to send missiles to our city of Vinnytsia, where 23 people were killed, including a 4-year-old child. So, and this is just one of the cases, and there's investigations of the other missiles that were launched from the same submarine. And he was on the run when he was shot. My wife said, this asshole takes a run in a park and then comes home, drinks coffee, reads a newspaper. And at the same time, the missiles that he launched or he commanded to launch are killing Ukrainians. What is it? So he got what he wanted. This is a karma.
Do you know the details of him getting shot? Was it like a robbery, or was it one of those like, oh, he got shot, no one knows why he got shot?
4 bullets. Is it a robbery? No. I'm sure. There's nothing on the news, but I'm sure this is a super operation of the Ukrainian intelligence.
Really?
Yep.
So the Ukrainian intelligence is literally going after like commanders where they're. That is fucking awesome.
Yeah, Mossad. I'm sure that Mossad, and I've read a story, an article that Ukraine wants to build Mossad, and they probably already did. So this is there were public announcements by the Ukrainian intelligence and the Ukrainian authorities that we will be looking for the war criminals all over the world, and we will be just killing them
forever.
Yep. And just imagine other commanders of the same sort who are now sitting and thinking like, do I want to take a run tomorrow? Probably not.
Yeah.
This guy goes out for a jog and he gets offed by some Ukrainian Secret Service guys who are literally looking for assholes that are delivering pain on the country of Ukraine, building that Mossad. Have you guys seen?
I don't hate this.
I love it. I think it's brilliant. I can't remember the name of the movie, but where they went after the people who shot people in Munich, who shot the Jewish team in Munich, and then and by the way, the Mossad out of Israel is like literally continues to look for people who have exterminated anybody from that lineage, anybody from that culture, and I happen to think setting up some kind of Ukrainian Mossad would be absolutely brilliant if they already have it, and it sure looks like they have, Alex, which is fucking awesome to hear. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
the TV series.
What's that, Alex?
There was a commercial by that was shot and posted on Twitter yesterday from a Ukrainian intelligence that had 3 words, but overall it meant something like "revenge is coming," and here we go.
I guess the counteroffensive can be fought in different ways, right, Locke? Like, I guess if you're offing submarine commanders, that's a counteroffensive.
It does have a little bit of a Hollywood script kind of feel to it, but you got to think that these things, they do happen, right? Like, I mean, I immediately thought about that movie you were talking about, and again, I don't know the name of it, but somebody in the comments might. I don't think it was Argo,
No.
but it loosely based on The Hunters is on Amazon, I think. Is a show.
Al Pacino. Yeah.
With Al
Same
Pacino.
kind of feel. Yeah. It's Munich is the name of the movie. It's called Munich. Simply titled Munich.
Yeah, that's a really good movie, and
the movie's going to be called Krasnodar.
Yeah.
It's going to start with plugging that asshole in the head 4 times in a park is where it's going to start, and it's going to be like, and it's going to have different chapters: Shoigu, Prigozhin, fucking Peskov, all of them, all of those guys, and
it'll be interesting
at the end.
It'll be interesting to see how the world handles this conflict, right? When it comes down to the books and the movies and the TV series, from years from now, because there's a ton of tragedy here, but there's a lot of really interesting stories, and I think the thing that makes things interesting about Ukraine and this particular fight that you guys are in is that no one expected you guys to have the heart that you had, including the Russians. And so it's a storybook. It's already a Hollywood movie, right? So it'll be really kind of cool to see those shows, and I mean, it'll be interesting for me to watch it. It'll be interesting to see, for you guys you're living it. You live it every day.
They're already casting for it. Like, the role of Yevgeny Prigozhin will be played by one of these 6 people.
Borat.
Why is that funny?
Because all of his beards are so pubic in nature, right? Like, he just, like, look at him. He just looks like Captain Pube Face. Like, it's unbelievable. Like, everything. He looks like a giant set of balls, hairy old man balls in every single picture. It's crazy. It's craziness, dude. And it's crazy we haven't talked before now. And I know you needed a break, and I'm glad you took a break. How are you feeling? You and your beautiful wife and Artie. Did you guys get regenerated? And by the way, here's a video of Alex on vacation. This is a guy on vacation. He just decided I need to take a break from the fucking war. Look at this.
We got a lunch at a very unique place with Mrs. Ludmila over there.
Yeah.
And this is our lunch.
Oh my God, that's gorgeous.
And look at what beautiful flowers are here.
And by the way, it cost us like $12. All of it.
I know.
Just what I see on that.
Like, it only cost me $12, by the way.
That's $120 in any restaurant in Canada.
Okay, so come over to Ukraine.
I'm
on
our
way. We're coming.
Yeah. The second you guys wipe out the threat, I'll be there. I'll come before the threat gets wiped out. Just get them on the run, and I'll show up. I'll be there. I'll drink a pint with you. I told you. I haven't drank in 6 years.
We're getting Dean on the piss again.
Hammered with you. Yeah, we're gonna have a bunch of drinks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I promise.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Thanks for doing this, Alex.
Thank you, my friends. It's
great to see you.
Such a pleasure. Such a pleasure. You make me. You make me smile, and you give me a lot of positive emotions and spirits.
You
Alex, I will say this, just so you know, there are a lot of people that don't know you, have never met you, will never meet you, but care a lot about what's happening to you and your family and your country. And when you do go off the grid for a couple of days, there is a collection of people that reach out to Dean and I that are very concerned about you.
Non-stop. It's nonstop. And I can only pretend to be not concerned for about a week before I get concerned, just so you know. Because I was doing a lot of this. I'm sure he's fine. Oh my God, what is he not? Oh my God. No, I'm sure he's good. And then you put out the video of you on vacation. I'm like, everybody chill out. So I sent Lachlan a note yesterday. I'm like, hey, just so you know, Alex is going to join us on the podcast tomorrow. And his reply was, thank fucking God.
So we look forward to your updates, and people are very invested in your story right now. So
we love you.
Thank you, my friends.
Yeah.
Take care of your family, brother.
By the way, it's 7 minutes before my birthday. So
48. 48. Are you gonna get something? Cake. Yeah, me too. Are you gonna get something special before 48 tomorrow? Correct? Are you gonna do something fun? Maybe. What are you gonna do?
cake here.
Cake already behind you?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can eat that tomorrow? You're going to get a cake?
then-
You're going to have a couple extra pints tomorrow, maybe some beers? Have a few beers?
I have a better question. Do you get birthday sex?
Just birthday sex?
Well, listen, there's a couple of guaranteed days. There's a couple of guarantees.
Well, I don't know how many fucking birthdays you have. I only have the one. But if I was like
Father's Day,
yeah, Father's
birthday,
Day,
anniversary,
days without sex.
Yeah,
I keep this guy Alex,
dude. We're stressful. You need a relief. Okay, we don't know what's happening over there. We
can
just support our friend. That's it.
Alex, you can work on the Ukraine angle here. In Canada, I've been lobbying for years to get Father Day put on the guaranteed sex list for married men, and so far I've had a lot of pushback. But
that's because your wife has your kids.
Work on it. You can work on it in the Ukraine for us. That would be all men. Thank you.
Yeah. Ukraine, it's a guaranteed day. Canada's a guaranteed day, and everybody will be like, you know what? Alex and Lachlan are good guys. They did something for all the men around the world. Alex Day Rebeckoff, great to see you at Day Rebeckoff. You can follow him on Twitter, Alex Day Rebeckoff on Twitter as well. Love you, buddy. We'll check in the next couple of weeks, but stay safe and let's keep talking. Okay, please, that'd be great.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, pal. Talk to you soon.
Happy birthday, brother.
Yeah, happy birthday. Alex turns 48 tomorrow. That might be the greatest guy on the planet. I love him so much.
I'm a fan.
Yeah, and it was annoying having everybody and not annoying in a bad way, but annoying in like a way where every time someone was like, "Where's Alex?" over the past week and a half, like you specifically, I'm worried about this. Where is he? You got to get a hold of him. I'm like, dude, I can only text you so much.
I try not to exaggerate with stuff like this, but I think 3 or 4 people reach out to me while he was away going, "Hey, Alex, no," because a lot of people check his feed on a regular basis just to sort of get that perspective, right? Because it's a different kind of, like, I pay attention to the news. If anything about Ukraine comes on, I'm engaged immediately, right? And I'm trying to learn as much as I can, and I think a lot of that has to do with our relationship over the last year and more, year and a half, almost a half now, with Alex on this podcast. So, and you know what? I casually know a little bit about the country and the layout, and I know where he is, roughly speaking. And so I pay attention to any kind of news. And I think a lot of people I think a lot of us are now craving those types of authentic sort of relationships and those authentic type of personalities
big time,
in their lives, right? And I think you're going to see more and more of this, right? I mean, listen, I have nothing against all those radio shows. I mean, I can turn anything into a radio conversation, but there's a lot of radio shows out there that are very surface, very fake. And oh my God, what do you think about Kim Kardashian's latest, relationship? Like, there's that bullshit. And then
Tom Brady, she's banging Tom Brady. I think it's pretty cool because I'd bang Tom Brady, by the way.
Anyway,
just let you know.
And then there's when you run into a show or you hit you find a podcast where they're real and they're sharing real emotions. I don't know. It just seems to have so much more weight nowadays, especially nowadays. So I appreciate you and allowing me to come on and be myself and bringing in guests like Alex and a lot of the guys that you brought, through this podcast over the last couple of years are just real fucking people that have real emotions, real fucking opinions, whether you agree with them or not. And that's the kind of information I'm looking for now. So I follow Alex and I watch his videos, even if he's just doing a 45-second video with his kid on a balcony with the sunset going down in a country that's being bombed every day by a dictatorship.
Yep.
Right.
Salient point, right? Like you want to have real people on telling real stories. And the reason why we go to Alex and the reason why we refuse to do 2 things. One, talk to anybody in mainstream media about what's going on in Ukraine is because we will not get the truth. Number one, you just won't. And the second part is We have him on to give you context, to let you touch that, let you feel it. It's almost like taking a car for a test drive. I want someone who is under the threat of war every day on the show, and that's Alex, right? To tell you what's happening in his life, to show you. And while we're on the podcast today, right, air raid siren goes off right as we're ready to talk about the air raid siren picture, which he posted. And it was fortuitous. It was great timing. It was terrible timing. It was awful. It was awesome.
That's not the first time an air raid siren's gone off when we've had him on either, right? Like
for 500, no, like 10 times. For 500 and some odd days, that man has woken up to that and gone to bed with that. His family has woken up and gone to bed with that. And when he's not doing that, he's doing his job, his professional job. And then if he's not doing that, he's out on the street documenting war crimes, taking pictures of the terrible things that people do, talking to children who've been raped and tortured and all this other stuff.
People that are involved in the war.
Yeah. That man is not just plugged in, he's it. He is the prototypical example of what every single Ukrainian is going through under the threat of the not just Russian war, but the terrorist and the terrorism that country is delivering to Europe on a fucking minute by minute basis. So, like, we're not going to tell you about policies. We're not going to talk to you about, NATO, even though Turkey greenlit Sweden to join NATO today. So I really pissed off Putin, which I thought was funny. We're not going to talk about those things. We're going to show you the people that
Did
are going
that just
through
happen?
It,
because I thought Turkey
today
was I thought they weren't.
a no to Sweden. No, Turkey was now a yes to Sweden.
Are they?
I don't know.
That's big news.
Well,
that's huge news.
Free shit out of the U.S. We probably sent them a whole bunch of stuff, like a whole bunch of DVDs, old DVDs. Probably sent a whole bunch of Top Gun DVDs to Turkey, and Erdogan's like, "That's good."
Okay, we're in. I still don't want IKEA though. Leave it.
That's
there.
right. He sent Guardian of Galaxy Episode 3. We put Finland in too. Do you go to Stampede? Calgary Stampede? That was all the rage.
I have never been, and I doubt highly I will ever go
Greatest
to Calgary
show on earth.
Stampede. I'm not interested. Never have been.
You don't like going to a rodeo and a month-long rodeo with a couple of pancakes and like a turkey on a stick? And
it's not
a big fan.
I'm
getting wasted all day.
Ride guy, like you put me on the Ferris wheel, I'll puke.
Salt and pepper shaker. No. Yeah. Not into it. You know who did do it this weekend? And it's a big weekend in Alberta, dude. Like huge in your home province. Beautiful home province.
Listen, the weight of the fair is felt in Edmonton, right? Like we had no beer cart girls on the course on Saturday because anybody with, any amount of substance heads to Calgary
to make big
money
that
week. Go make money, right?
Yeah.
So I said to the guy, I was golfing with the GM. I'm like, where's the beer cart? I mean, it's 9 a.m. Why haven't I seen a beer cart yet?
9 a.m.
And he goes, I lost them all. They went to the Stampede to make money.
9 a.m. Where's the beer cart? You fucking alcoholic. I love you so much. Yeah. So Stampede's this weekend, and nobody's talking about the Stampede. No one cares. In Calgary, it's like the biggest thing in the world. It's the biggest outdoor show on earth. It's the biggest rodeo in the world. It's huge, right? Massive. Big. This is like 100 and some odd years old. It's been happening. But no one cares about that this year. Everybody cares about two guys, Pierre Poilievre, leader of the Conservative Party, and Justin Trudeau. Did you see all the sniping on Twitter this weekend? Did you see all that?
I did see them because from what I recall, or just from what I've gained from what I did read or see, is that Pierre Poilievre had his pancake breakfast and JT had his.
Yeah.
And the Albertans were very excited about PeePee, and they weren't so happy about Justin's. Read the room, Justin. You might not. Yeah, come in, make an appearance, put the white cowboy hat on,
pancakes.
Then go home.
Yeah, go home.
I don't know if hosting the pancake breakfast was a good idea.
Well, I mean, hey, listen, pictures tell 1,000 words, right? Both leaders seem to be surrounded by sycophants. Both of them seem to be surrounded by supporters. Both of them have no idea how to fucking flip a pancake. Both looked absolutely out of place. And neither of those two guys are fucking cowboys. Okay, but they definitely got dressed up like two cowboys. Oh, dude,
every year to the politicians doing this.
I love it so much. Like there are people out there who get angry about the virtue signaling, the grandstanding. Watching a politician literally morph into an uncomfortable cowboy.
Yeah,
for like 3 days on a weekend where they've never worn a 10-gallon hat. All the shirts are right out of the package with creases, and they're all wearing like made for TV makeup, pretending to be cowboys. There was nothing funnier this weekend to me than all these politicians that are like, I don't even know how to wear a cowboy hat. I don't have cowboy boots. Get some stuff off the rack. Let me get on a horse and let me go and peddle my wares, which is what both of these idiots did. And it wasn't embarrassing. I just thought it was, dude. And it's like, to me, it makes me laugh harder than ever when you see someone taken out of their element politically and like, okay, go there and hang out with those people who you would never, ever hang out with and have nothing in common with at all. But
and by the way, you have to wear a costume. The thing I love about Stampede Week is so in the radio business, it's a big deal too, right? Like, so our company, and anytime I've been in Alberta a long time now, so all the companies I've worked for, it's a big schmooze week. So you have, and if you're in Calgary, if you're a radio station in Calgary, and a friend of mine was working this is one of the first years he was down there, and someone sent me a picture of him. You're like, you got to check this out. So-and-so is all dolled up for Stampede. And I died laughing and started mocking him immediately. And he's just like, fuck you, Lachlan. You're such a dick. We all have to do it. It's the thing is when you live down there and you work down there, you have to get into the spirit. Like it's almost mandated. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding. And he's like, no, like they all do the Western gear and the hats and they get cowboy boots. This friend of mine, the last person on the planet you would ever see with cowboy boots and a cowboy hat, had to buy a cowboy shirt, a cowboy hat, and cowboy boots and get the old Wranglers. And he had to put that uniform on every year around Stampede. And I just, to this day, I still tease him about it. Off. But the politicians get on board as well. No one will beat Jason Kenney because Kenney got into it. Like,
yeah, he
looked like he enjoyed dressing up a little too much. And see, he'd get about half a bottle of Jameson in him and then start dancing at these fucking things. So, I mean, honestly, Trudeau and PeePee have nothing on old Kenney. Like, there's video. We used to just die when Kenney used to get into it.
You're right into the role of like becoming someone who is like totally not a politician, pretending to give a shit about people. It's something he wouldn't be fucking caught dead at ever if he wasn't a politician. Like that whole thing. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite things. Like some of the pictures this weekend of these dolts pretending to endear themselves. And keep in mind, it's been happening for a long time. Doesn't make it okay. It's like super inauthentic, absolute loserville. And again, happening for a long time. This is Justin's dad, Pierre, riding a horse in full regalia. And you're like, dude,
why is it? There must be something with the white hat.
It is. Celebrities and guests of the Stampede all have to wear a friendly white cowboy hat. That's what the white
is. That what it is?
Yes.
Okay.
Pierre broke with that. He went with black at some speech where he was wearing a bad shirt and too much makeup, which, by the way, he looked great. You can see the makeup rubbed off on his white shirt. And it's like, again, this is a gentleman who has never dressed even like this, pretending to be cool and pretending to be a cowboy. He's neither of those things. Neither, which I think is funny. And then speaking of funny, there's old cowboy Justin, who's never spent a fucking day in his life on a horse, talking to some kid at his pancake breakfast, trying to make friends, influence people. And I know that's what politics is. But, dude, the picture of the Stampede, there's a couple of them that made me laugh my ass off, was this guy who managed, and I love guys that do this to politicians, where they're like, I'm going to get in this shirt and see what happens. Guy's wearing a thank a straight person for your existence, straight pride. Gets a picture taken with Danielle Smith, who's the premier of Alberta, and then PeePee and his mail order bride, Anita. Like it is, and everybody's freaking out that these people took a picture with a guy in a homophobic shirt, and it's 100% a homophobic shirt, and there is nothing to be proud of when it comes to whatever sexual preference you have. So the guy's a complete cock, although I kind of think it's sort of funny in a dark way. And they got no problem with it. It's like they can't read, or it's like they don't give a shit about political capital like everybody else does. But that whole thing this weekend at the Stampede, the pancakes, like JT trying to flip a pancake and he got it all over himself. Like you can see, it's like everybody just shit all over these two guys.
I think he socked up in those pants.
Oh yeah, big time. He's got some
go back to that.
He's got some push-up gitch on. Yeah, JT's got push-up gitch on for sure.
Or padding.
You think he pads?
That's a pretty decent bulge. I mean, there could be at least an ankle sock in there.
I didn't even notice the bulge until you pointed it out. I was looking at the creases in his shirt because both he and PeePee don't own an iron, and it's like, hey, dude, you guys just pulled those right out of the package, huh? Like you just.
Well, I gotta say honestly, and I realize, I mean, people realize my hatred for Justin, right? But no one is touching Jason again. I wish you had video of him dancing at the Stampede a couple of years ago. Type that in and see if it comes up.
I'm gonna get it right now.
It is spectacular. We watched that 700 times one morning and cried laughing every time.
How do you spell Jason Kenney?
Kenney, it's Kenney.
Jason Kenney dancing. Oh yeah. Yeah, we got it right here. Yeah,
Can you put that up? Having too much fun.
This is really good. This is incredible, actually. This is a lot of fun to watch. He's really enjoying himself.
So he got heckled pretty bad from what I hear, Justin Trudeau. They gave him a bit of a cold shoulder here, and that was the news I was getting.
Alberta is literally a hotbed of people who've been convinced that they have to hate any prime minister who isn't from out west. That's how it works. So of course they hate him.
And it's Justin. It's much. You know what?
He's easy to hate.
Yeah, put me on a plane and all my worldly possessions and fly me to Ottawa. I'm gonna hate him just as much.
I don't like
not be a proximity thing, Dean. I understand what you're saying, but there's a good chance that if I had a new postal code, I'd still despise the man.
You know what? We're in that age of like just supreme disgust. At least I am.
For politicians
where
as a whole.
I don't like any of them. I don't identify with any of them, specifically the grandstanding. And by the way, here's the Jason Kenney video of him dancing. This is cute. You're right.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, this one, yeah. He looks like 10 pounds of shit shoved in a 4-pound bag.
When you put a cowboy hat on him and give him a chance to drink at 8:00 in the morning, Kenny's a goer. That's an old one. I don't even think that's Stampede. There's multiple videos, and there's a man who doesn't need to pad. I think he's got a bit of a hog on him, eh?
No, dude. Do you not know how guys do that? Where they like tuck part of their gut in, and then they funnel part of it down into the package area, like the super fat guys. They'll funnel their fat into their crotchal region and make it look like they have big dick and balls.
Really?
Like yeah. A lot of guys do that, and they're like, check this out. You're like, dude, you just have a gun. That's all that is. That's all.
Go
he's
back
got.
to that video.
Yeah.
That's gunt. It goes that far down.
Oh yeah, dude. Dude, he's cutting it off at the top. That thing is down here towards the wiener. Seriously, he's got one of those fupas they call, right? Frontal upper penile area. That's all fat. It's just like literally all fat. I don't know how he looks now. I could care less. And I'm not fat shaming the guy. I'm just telling you that genetically that is fat.
A little pudgier there. He's a little pudgier there than he was when he ran. I think he slimmed up a little bit, but he was always a huskier individual. Yeah. But there's another video of him dancing with a white cowboy hat on at Stampede as well, looking like he had about 6 drinks in him too, which is awesome. Listen, I miss Kenny. I really do. And I said it out loud when they ran him out for not being right wing enough for the UCP. I was like, we're going to miss him. We're going to miss old Kenny.
I said the same about Aaron O'Toole when Pierre Poilievre took over for him. I'm like, you know what? I hate the guy, but he is like a knight in shining armor compared to this shit for brains that they got coming in, right? So, yeah, same thing. You make room for that. You bring in the crazy. That's all politics. And dude, like every single person that was a politician that was grandstanding it, whether you were local or political, I hate all of it. I hate the Stampede stuff. I hate going to church. I hate, hey, let me come and celebrate Diwali with you. Well, would you do it if you weren't a politician? The answer is no. Would you go to church on Easter Sunday if you weren't the answer is no. Would you go to the Stampede and fucking flip pancakes and volunteer and look like a good guy and ride a horse? The answer is no. So all of those things disgust me to the point where I'm going to make it my job this year to embarrass them every time they do stuff like that. Like literally embarrass them and call out the inauthenticity of all of politics. Because that whole thing was all about this, if you ask me. It was all about, let's see how many friends we can get on one fucking psychotic side, and let's see if these people can beat up the people on the other side. That's what politics is now, and I fucking can't stand it. So anyway, just nice to take a strip off everybody pretending to be cool at a rodeo this weekend. Losers. They're all losers.
I will say this. If you ever put me into a position where I had to dress up, like, I don't know, I was running a radio station or I got into politics and someone said, listen, Locke, it's a good idea to slap on the Wranglers, go buy yourself a pair of cowboy boots.
Yeah,
get a like white cowboy hat.
Really cool dress shirt that's striped.
Get down there.
Big stripe.
Down there and flip some pancakes. You're going to get some votes from this, or you're going to get people are going to love you for this.
Yeah.
I will say this, Steen. That image would be very mockable. Probably, and I would expect it from my friends and family to mock me till the end of time, because I would look like a tool. There's no way I would be able to pull off a white cowboy hat as as some of these politicians have. Yeah.
That's so stupid. It's just politics is ridiculous. It's a game. It's a game of stupidity for stupid people,
game, right?
That can't get jobs in the real world. That's all it is. I'm convinced. Yeah. Never more than ever. Anyway, thanks for
we all have elements of it in our business.
No, we don't. No, yeah, I got no elements of that. Like other than going places to represent different brands that we work with.
Yeah.
I don't like when we go to Portugal for Clancy World, which is our big client, to do work on behalf of Benfica. When we go to Portugal, I don't get dressed up like Portuguese natives. Like I don't go, hey everybody, look at me. I'm here to embrace myself to you beautiful
You know what?
people.
You're lucky though. You're a lucky man that you get to do. And I've said this out loud. I was actually talking to somebody about this morning about how blessed I feel to have a job where I can actually be myself.
Yeah.
Right. It was my chiropractor. He was snapping me. And I said, I need you to snap me right here, because I haven't had a proper shit in about, a week. And I think my back is out right here and it's causing a problem. And he just stopped and went, oh my God, I can't believe. And I looked at him, and I sometimes I forget that you're supposed to not be like that, but I lived my whole life like that. My whole career is like that, just saying things on my mind that sometimes I forget about the kind of reaction I'm going to get when I'm actually because people don't get to be themselves. People don't get to tell their chiropractor that their back's out and they haven't had a really good shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, most people would keep that to themselves. And I realized it when I saw the look on his face. And he's like, I'm going to enjoy you. That was his response. He goes, by the way, there's not a lot of scientific proof to prove that if your back's out, it's going to affect your shit.
Is that what he said?
That's what he said. I said, I know my body.
53 years of thinking that your back hurts, so you need an adjustment.
There's a spot in my back where if it goes out,
you're crazy. You're fucking insane. The medical knowledge that you glean from the internet or a family member is not medical.
That's not the internet.
What is it? Where'd you find that out?
That's the study of my own body.
Yo, what do you mean the study of your own body? It's just you observing when you have to shit.
Have you ever been to do you go to a chiropractor?
No, because it's pseudo health. It's not real health. Like they tell you all the time. And I'm going to get in trouble for this because a friend of mine's a chiropractor. And I've got a friend who's a chiropractor and a friend who's a podiatrist. Both, they call themselves doctors. And I fight with them regularly when we golf or hang out. I'm like, you guys are not doctors. Like on my buddy's credit card, it's like, doctor, so-and-so. I won't give you his name. John Alkley. Don't worry about it. Anyway, so
Talk
John,
to
Dr.
your
John,
buddy, the chiropractor. I want to know if
he's
he
not a
agrees
fucking
with me.
real doctor.
When
He
my
knows he's
when
not
my
a real
back is
doctor.
out, right here.
Yes.
Right
Yes.
there.
It's not out. It just hurts.
That's the shitter
Go get
vertebrae.
a massage. No, it's not
That's
the
the
shitter
yes, it
vertebrae.
is.
There's no such
Yes.
thing as a shitter. No, it isn't. There is no such
You're
thing
wrong.
as a shitter. Well, okay. Let me just Google it. Let's see what Google has to say.
Ask Google.
There shitter vertebrae?
I'm gonna ask Chat GPT.
No, nothing.
Because
There's shutter vertebrae. I don't even know what that means. There's no such thing as shitter vertebrae, by the way.
No,
there
you're putting in the wrong terminology.
Bone in your back that triggers a shit. I'm not putting in the wrong terminology. You just said, okay, go ahead and Google it. I'll wait for this. I want to see it.
Out.
Not out. You don't know if your back was out. You have back pain.
Impact how
you're like a 95-year-old woman.
If your back is
Malta,
out, can that impact
who
how
thinks
you
hot sauce helps her knee, so she puts hot sauce on her knee. That's what you do. No. A sore back.
Right here, Chat GTP just gave me, I am not a doctor, but I can offer some general information. Back pain can potentially affect your bowel movements. Depending on the cause and severity of the condition, the spine and the nervous system plays a crucial role in regulating various body functions,
that is applicable,
including digestion and bowel movements. Thank you, AI.
No,
and
that's a sore back. You're not talking about okay, Google. Should I see a chiropractor if I can't poop? Google it.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not a
No,
chiropractor. It's just a hobby for me, but I can crack you. When I come to Toronto, I'm going to crack you neck, and you tell me if you don't shit better after I crack you.
No, yeah, I'm not going to do that.
I'm totally going to crack you.
You know why? I eat vegetables. That's why. I never have back pain. And you're like, I want you to Google it. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to Google it. I'll do it for you right now.
I don't need Google. I got Chat GPT. I got AI on my side.
Thank you, Elon Musk. Accurate. No, Chat GPT is not 100% accurate in any way, shape, or form. It draws from a billion different sources, and then you teach it how to learn, and it still fucks things up way worse than humans.
I do like that. My first thing into chat, I just got into this like yesterday. The first thing I typed in was whether or not dandelion was the city of Edmonton national flower. And then I'm asking it, if my back is out, is it going to impact how I shit?
Okay, here's the deal. This is from Advanced Chiropractic and Spine Medicine. It's like chiropractic adjustments, particularly spine, may help relieve constipation, muscles and intestine, stool, push stool to the anus, where stool leaves the body. Special nerve cells in the intestine called ganglion cells make the muscles push. However, it should be the last resort on how to treat any kind of constipation. Last resort. Okay.
Oh man! After it, if a good chiro gets in there and cracks me, I'll have the shit of my life that next day.
It's because you're relaxed. Maybe, I don't know. I would never go see a chiropractor though. Dude,
no, because
how many people are in the comment section now? Don't do it. Don't go to a chiropractor. How many people I hear stories? And listen, all the chiropractors, I know whatever. I'm just telling you, I don't know anything about chiropractics. I can only tell you that I would never come see you. Because I've heard way too many terrible stories about people in your situation. Like, I just want to go in for a quick adjustment. And they never walk out of there. They get wheeled out of there like this.
Oh, come on.
With like a thing, like a stoma. You're like, what happened? Car accident? No, chiropractor. And you breathe. You're like fucking full Stephen Hawking.
So bullshit.
You know how hard it'd be to do your job like this if you're Stephen Hawking? You know how hard it would be to talk into a microphone where you're like, hi, everybody. No one would listen. Stop going to the chiropractor.
No. It's a healthy maintenance thing. It is. I feel it. I totaled 3 vehicles before I turned 20 when I was a kid. I probably shouldn't have been given my driver's license. And so I have a lot of things in my life. Like some residual damage to my body from being in some rather severe car accidents and never really dealing with it. So in my 30s, I started to find chiropractic.
Yeah.
And yeah. Oh, you don't know, having your neck cracked. Woo! Oh my God, it's the greatest feeling in the world. Yeah.
Keep going.
I'll crack you. I'll crack you when I come to Toronto.
Not a chance.
Yeah. Lie down.
Interested. No. Yeah, lie down. You're gonna come to Toronto. You're gonna come to my
I crack
house.
Jimmy all the time, eh?
Yeah, I
when
know.
And you know when I crack him?
No.
When he can't
that's
poop.
worse.
When
he can't poop. Yeah, you guys are gonna end up killing each other. Like one day you're gonna crack him and he's never gonna walk again.
Well, you can't crack Jimmy like the way I crack people normally is I've got a couple of different techniques, but
you do this a lot.
I crack people all the time, yeah. So I can
tell you're from Alberta. Some dude with like zero medical training. Like I'm like a hobby chiropractor a little bit.
So what I do with Jimmy, because he's only 4 feet tall.
Yeah.
He puts his arms out and I pick him up underneath his arms. And then I give him a hurrah! And he'll crack from his tailbone or from his neck to his tailbone. And it's spectacular the way he cracks. It's awesome. And then he just like crumples down on the floor and goes, for about 10 minutes. And then thanks me.
Let's go to the comment section now. Tabby D says, or no, excuse me, Stone Seawitch. You don't like her. Jimmy's skeletal / muscular system probably shouldn't be cracked by an amateur. She's got a point. Locke. Someone who practices a little at-home chiropractic probably shouldn't be doing it.
I cracked this one kid years ago at I do this thing where you put your hands on your forehead and I pick you up by your elbows. Mm-hmm. And I'm 6'4", right? So I can get pretty much anybody, right? And this kid was, I swear to God, he was a buck. He was 150 pounds soaking wet and he was 6 feet tall. He played bass and was complaining about his back. And we only had one other witness, and I remember them laughing in the room because of how loud he cracked. But I picked him up and gave him a little jolt, and he snapped from his neck to his tailbone, and you could hear it go, and it was amazing. And it was so loud, like it was audible, like you could hear it 10 feet, 15, 20 feet away. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's not that awesome, actually. It's weird. It's weird that you like it that much. Yeah, it's like it's
I can sit and watch chiropractic videos. Those guys, like they're all over YouTube and Instagram. And
you like watching those? Like you get really. I guess I understand that because I like watch the Dr. Pimple Popper videos, and I've got no problem sitting through those. Like zero problem.
It drives,
but it's not like something I enjoy. It's just something I'm like, I'll watch that and see how much.
If you go to any of my feeds on any social media, it's all like chiropractors. Like I said, it's a hobby.
Good. Oh, that's great. You're passing along medical misinformation. Ladies and gentlemen, Lachlan Cross from the province of Alberta.
Yeah. All right. I got to go. I got to take some ivermectin here before 6.
Lachlan Cross, 957cruisefm.ca is where you can listen to him every single weekday morning. Host of the Locker Room, Bangarang rock and roll radio morning program. The best in the country, so give them a listen online. If you're Edmonton, you can just listen in a car. You can also follow him on Twitter no matter where you are at Lachlan Cross. Thanks, buddy.
We have a podcast, too. Go listen to our podcast. We release that every day.
Isn't that just your show with the commercials and music taken out?
Why are you downplaying our attempt at trying to be cool? We want to be cool like everyone else.
You are cool. It's a great podcast and show with or without commercials. So go and download.
Some people can't tune in live, so we repurpose it after.
It's a very good show, dude. I love your show. I listen all the time. You know that. I listen almost daily.
Sometimes you've even listened to the podcast.
I have.
So why do you want to be a cock about it?
Good to see you, brother.
All right, man. Take care.
Yeah, take care. Lachlan Cross, 957cruisefm.ca. At Lachlan Cross on Twitter. Have a great day, everybody. Appreciate you being here. Yeah, it's it for us. Thanks to our friends at Cantork for making this possible. Our friend Colin will be on with us at the end of the week. Winner of a couple of kart races this year. He's part of the Alex Tagliani Pinty's NASCAR race team, and he's also the owner of Cantork, Canada's assembly tool experts. Cantork, they make rugged, hardworking, beautiful torque wrenches. Canada's leading industrial tool experts, giving you the very best in sales, service, rentals, calibration, maintenance, and custom fabrication of industrial torque tools. No matter the scale of your bolting project, they have your solution. Go to cantork.com for more information. Heavy machinery, nuclear, railroad, steel industry, doesn't matter, forestry. If this is what you need, a loosening and fastening solution that nobody can make or curate, they will do it for you. They do it worldwide from Canada, made in Canada, as everything in Cantork is, including all of their design and manufacturing. They brought it all back from overseas a couple of years ago. That's why they love this country, and that's why we love being their partner. Go to cantork.com for more information. We're brought to you by Gitch. Yes, Canada's #1 luxury branded underwear, boxer briefs engineered for any level of performance as well as everyday life. If you buy 3, you get 1 free. Use promo code GITCH3 at checkout. Tons of colors, and that free pair of Gitch comes in handy, right? You go order 3, then you pump in the promo code GITCH and then number 3, and boom, it's like, hey, here's a free pair of underwear. And they're luxurious, world-beating underwear with a pouch in the front, super breathable, any level of performance, walking, running, sprinting, very soft, barely there. You won't even notice. Incredible waistband as well. So go to edsfineimports.com. Gitch is your promo code, Gitch3 as a matter of fact. And get the world's greatest underwear made in Canada for Canadians. GITCH3 is your promo code, edsfineimports.com. Have a great day. See you Wednesday. Actually, we'll see you tomorrow with Mr. Charles Adler, the #1 podcaster in Canada. Charles Adler now lives at crier.co, our home as well. Go to crier.co for more information, anything that we do. Charles Adler tomorrow right around 4 o'clock. So we'll see you beautiful people then. All right. All right. That's it. Have a great day. See you tomorrow, 4 o'clock. Bye.